All right, 3, 2, 1. It's a lovely fall day here in the Washington, D.C. area. The Washington Redskins and the San Diego Chargers, and a very, very important game for the Washington Redskins. But more important, it's alumni weekend here at FedExField as the Washington Redskins take on the San Diego Chargers. Welcoming to Gametime Live, presented by Verizon, Lou Holder, and we are going to have a fun show today because not only is it going to be about the game, it's going to be about all the legends of the Redskins past who are gathered here. They do this once a year. It's an awesome event where the whole weekend is dedicated to the alumni, the people who made the Washington Redskins who they are. We're going to have a ton of guests hopefully walk by, and we are starting right off the gate with Mr. Jeff Bostic. Wow, what a pleasure it is to have you here and all the other alumni. First and foremost, how great is it to get together with all the guys who helped make this R what it is today?
It's undescribable as a former player. A lot of us live all over the country, from California to Hawaii to North Carolina to Maine to Florida, and we don't see each other. And we get back here, and it seems like every year that I've come back, there has been a former teammate that I haven't seen for a very long, extended period of time. And for the people watching, this year's guy was Brad Dusick. I have not seen him since 1983, and I really salute Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen for putting this week. No other team in the NFL does this.
And they're copying it. The Green Bay Packers are doing it now. Everybody's making an alumni weekend. You can call it what it want, a homecoming, but if the homecoming is not in the sense of, you know, when we're in high school and college, it's actually you guys coming home to what made you guys great.
And the thing is, the people behind the camera right now, I'm looking at teammates hugging each other and laughing and talking to one another. And you know, a lot of them, you grow up with their kids and you see their wives, and we come back here and we got grown-up kids. So right. Time moves on, right?
Right. Talk about the position now that these guys are playing. It was your position, the offensive line. I know you guys, the Hogs, it doesn't need much more description than that, but this group that's presently now with Trent Williams and company, talk about their efforts.
Well, unfortunately, I think the Hogs have soured it for all these guys that have played after us.
We'll raise the bar so high.
We set a pretty high bar, and I was joking with one of these guys earlier. I said, can you imagine if we would have had a quarterback with the mobility of a Robert Griffin III? I said, Mark Rippon couldn't run. Doug Williams couldn't run, but they didn't have to run.
Right.
And, you know, you look at a guy like Rip, 1991, we played 19 games to win the Super Bowl. Rip got sacked 9 times all year long. Wow. I mean, if that's a stat for an offensive lineman, it's pretty good.
And one of your teammates is here. Could you call him over there? I'll let you do that.
Mr. Jacoby.
Mr. Jacoby.
Would you come join me, please?
Could you please?
Now, I'm going to warn you before he gets here.
Please warn us. Please, Redskins.
If you see my shadow get real dark, it's because he's so much taller than I am. Joe Jacoby.
But Joe Jacoby is here. Hold on, stay with us. Stay with us. He was just talking about how great it is to get all you guys together. You agree as far as just the camaraderie and the R and what it means year after year to come back?
Well, it's always good to get us all back here. We're all still standing. You know, and it's good to see your fellow brothers are here too. And like you said, you know, relive some of the dreams that we got to do, and yeah, the R means a lot. I mean, we are part of that base, that foundation that we set, and it's always good to come back and cherish those things, and hopefully cheer these guys on to continue that tradition.
Guys, how has the NFL changed since you guys left? I mean, we know that besides the obvious of more greenbacks, what else has changed?
The whole thing. It's not any off season. They stopped playing. What, February now is the Super Bowl. Super Bowl for us was the third or fourth weekend in January. So it's getting longer. There's really no time off. These guys may take 4 weeks off, but they're back in hitting it, classroom, weights, and it's a full-time job now, and the way it should be.
I think there's another thing that has happened. Obviously, the rules have really been to try and keep players safe as opposed to when we played. I mean, if you ever had seen anybody get flagged for hitting anybody near the sideline or head-to-head contact, I mean, it just didn't happen. I mean, and now they're going to different lengths to try and protect the player, which is good.
Last question for you. He mentioned a little bit about Robert Griffin III, and you said, could you imagine what it was like if we had somebody like that when we were playing? I mean, your thoughts on Robert Griffin III and the quarterback position now?
That'd be unusual for our offensive line. We had statues back there. We wouldn't be used to a mobile quarterback. I mean, nothing against the guys we had. That was that time, that era. Now it's a different athlete, a different breed, and it brings another level to it, another excitement. You can't just line up and come after him, or he's going to take off and gain some big chunks.
Thanks so much. Joe Jacoby, Jeff Bostic, thank you so much for what you did for the Washington Redskins on Game Time Live presented by Verizon. As they leave, we're bringing in the one, the only, Doug Williams. Wow. I've never had this much star power on this show before. So you had this guy, you had Bostic. I mean, they're all here, the Hogs, and that Super Bowl 22 team is being honored here today. And I just want you to talk about the memories of that.
Well, you know what, seeing Jake Jacoby and seeing Jeff Bostic, bring back so many memories, because the things that I was afforded to do that day is because of those guys. You know, if they hadn't done what they did that day as far as protecting myself, I ain't nowhere in the world I could have been able to do the things we did, you know. So my hat's off to them, but I've seen Ricky Sanders and Gary Clark. You see Dexter Manley. Because you got to give the defense props, man, because if they didn't get the turnovers from Denver, you know, we wouldn't have the opportunities that we had. So as a team, you saw a total team effort. It wasn't a one-man band. It was a total team effort. We had so much character on that football team, it is impossible, you know, and I think we was built on character more than anything else, and that's propelled us to that championship.
Year after year, when you think about that Super Bowl, is it still amazing to you how much you guys were clicking in that quarter when it just seemed like, you know, you saw that one image of Michael Jordan put up his hands like, I'm in the zone. Did you all actually feel like you were in the zone, like the game had slowed down to such a level in a championship game that it was just like, what in the world is going on?
Well, I think it's a little different in basketball and football because you got so many guys to depend on. But I think from an executional standpoint, it was execution at its best. When you can score 35 points in 18 plays in football, that means like every 2 or 3 plays you were scoring. I think everything we call, like Coach Gibbs said, he could have closed his eyes and just pointed to a play because it was working. Everything he did that day, it was working, man. It was one of them days that the offensive line couldn't do any wrong, the receivers couldn't do any wrong, the running backs couldn't do any wrong, and I guess evidently the quarterback didn't do any wrong either.
Right. So speaking of quarterback, the position of quarterback of the Washington Redskins is very scrutinized in this town. You went through it. Mark Rippon went through it. Joe Theismann went through it. The individual who's currently going through it right now, your assessments of him?
Well, I think number one, you know, we all got to give Robert Griffin some credit because of what happened last year. He came in here and he uplifted this football team. And I think the injury at the end of the year kind of devastated the team a little bit, and he hadn't played as well early in the season, but I think the last couple of weeks you see vintage Robert Griffin. I think the most important thing now is not so much depend on Robert Griffin to uplift his football team as much as you depend on this football team to uplift Robert Griffin.
You know, when you come back here, you get that butterfly feeling? I mean, does it still happen for you, or nah? No,
it's a great feeling, man. You know, you looking at these guys on the field and you just wonder what it would be like again if you can turn back the clock 25 some odd years to be doing the same thing. You know, you was doing the same thing this time of day back there, but at the end of the day, it's their time. I've had my 15 minutes. All of us have, and it's
more than 15 minutes, dude.
It's time for them to have fun.
Jacoby and Grimm were saying that one of the big differences in the NFL now is that it's a full-time job. It's all year round. I mean, would you attest that that's one of the biggest differences you see now in the league, that how much time is put into the season?
Ain't no doubt about it. The guys don't get a chance to really relax anymore. And therefore, you got to put so much into this game. And the guys who don't put as much into this game won't be around that long, because even the coaches, you know, with all the OTAs and everything that is out there, their team only get about a month off, a month and a half to relax. And then you got to go back to work.
I know you love your receivers and you'll die for them, but would you like to have a Pierre Garçon and a Santana Moss or whatever? I mean, to talk about their efforts and what you see in them as a wide receiver core.
Well, number one, that's kind of hard to assess because I had Ardmore, Gary Clark, and Ricky Sanders.
It's true. And I preface by saying that your group was pretty good.
I don't know what I trade them guys in, man, so I can't assess that one.
But Pierre Garçon, the addition of Pierre Garçon in this wide receiving core and these wideouts.
I think all those guys have played pretty decently, but I think at the end of the day, you got to find that big time guy that can take the pressure off those guys. When you look around this league, the big receiver who's tough is the guys that really make it most of the plays. Like last week, you see a Megatron go off at 6'5". I don't care who you are. He got some genetics that you just can't coach, and I think he's proven that.
Doug Williams. Thank you so much. Doug Williams joining us on Game Time Live presented by Verizon. Wow, what a cavalcade of guests that we have coming in. I want to bring in my two guys here, Chris Russell and Brian Tinsman. I'm going to have you guys both on together because this is rare. You guys have been my guys for years. But when you get Doug Williams and you get Joe, Jacoby, and Jeff Bostic, I had to push y'all out of the way just for a second. I hope you don't mind that they led the show, right?
Well,
I hope you don't mind.
I have no Super Bowl ring.
No.
And I'm certainly anything but an icon, so I don't mind.
Okay. We're going to get back to the guys walking through again, but let's get through some of the present-day issues now with the Washington Redskins. I'll start with you, Chris Russell. Inactives, actives, what's the latest scoop going on for the game today against the San Diego Chargers?
Well, Fred Davis is inactive again for a third consecutive game. That's not a huge surprise, but there was some thought with Logan Paulson being banged up and, quite honestly, being largely ineffective because of the injury that maybe Fred would get an opportunity. Clearly, they did not see enough in that regard to make that decision. So that's the third game in a row. And then Darryl Tapp is the only new one, so that means Brandon Jenkins is back in. Tapp did assist Rob Jackson in a sack last week in Denver, so maybe this is a little bit of a surprise, but maybe it's a good sign that Brandon Jenkins, the fifth-round rookie, had a good week. Hasn't played in a couple of weeks, fresh legs, try and get some extra speed off the edge to deal with Phillip Rivers and his high completion percentage. Everybody else pretty much the same. Rex Grossman, Chris Thompson, Jose Gums actually is a new one. He had hurt his calf, so that was expected. Josh Laribas and Chris Neal.
Okay, stay right there. Ryan Tinsman, do your thing with your game. Oh, now see, every week he comes with a person. Now he's coming with bling. Explain why the bling. Because Super Bowl XXII, they're being honored today.
Exactly. This is the 25th anniversary year for that game, for that team. And this is really, it's a special moment to have all those guys back. Obviously you got to talk to a bunch of them already. Lots of star power. They'll tell you about the game a lot better than I will. But it really brings an added element to this alumni homecoming weekend, and it really makes it special. This is something that Bruce Allen had a vision of when he came back, and it's something that they've carried through each year that he's been here. They actually haven't won yet on a homecoming weekend, and I think that this is really a good opportunity for them to do that this week.
Okay, and as far as you talking to the guys, because I know I've been talking to the guys, you talking to the guys, especially Mr. Allen for bringing them here, what was his thoughts as far as, because, a lot of players now around the league are, making fun of this, and look, see, that's the only time you can do this in this show. You can walk right through the camera. If you did it, you'd not be back on. You'd not be back on. Right. But when Bruce Allen was trying to put this thing together, now the Green Bay Packers are doing it. Right. A lot of other teams now in the NFL are bringing back their alumni, and it should happen that way.
And it's funny because this was actually an original idea with the Redskins. It's something that nobody else was doing, and then the NFL realized that this was something that you really need.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now we're seeing, as you mentioned, a lot of other teams. They've encouraged all other teams to do it, but it's a little bit different this year. We've always called it homecoming in the past. That got kind of a bad rap last year with D'Angelo Williams, who really didn't get the point. It was interesting this week that someone actually tweeted at the San Diego Chargers and said, "Hey, do you realize that you are their homecoming opponent?" And they replied back to them that they think it's really admirable that the Redskins are willing to honor their alumni like that, and they were really excited to be a part of that game.
Brian Tinsman from Redskins.com. Thanks so much. Chris.
Yes.
I don't know how else to put this, but this week has been kind of a circus with this Washington Redskins team, from Brandon Merriweather's comments about the tackling to Pierre Garçon's comments about, he did say the whole offense, him included, but it got to be something to the effect is that, he was calling out maybe the team, right? Then the Albert Haynesworth comments with Mike Shanahan. The name change has been there for weeks. Fred Davis.
Morgan.
Thank you. Could you tell me why it's this way right now? I mean, what is going on with this team? And you cover them, and you're in there every day. What is the actual mood of the team? Because they watch the media, they listen to the media, they hear the media.
I think it's not healthy, is the best way I can put it. Some of the dysfunctionality, if you will, maybe is overstated, and I'm partially responsible for that. You hear a lot of things build up over the last, quite honestly, 11 months that have led us to this point. But here's the bottom line. You know, I do believe wins solve a lot of issues, and they have an opportunity to win 2 games in 5 days, much like they did last year when they were 3 games under 500. And they came out in that 5-day span and beat Philadelphia at home and then Dallas on Thanksgiving Day, and that turned the season around. Now, there wasn't some of this dysfunction last year, but there was some of it at this point. So here's the bottom line. I think they're too worried about what we say in the media, one. I think there's too much sniping and finger pointing, number 2. I think everybody needs to shut up. And bottom line, win 2 games and you are back and more than alive. And not everything goes away, but a lot of things go away.
Again, that's good that you say that, because in 5 days this team could be 2-7, they could be 4-5. Right, but the thing is, though, they got to win games like this. I mean, last year was embarrassing when you lost to Carolina on this special weekend. It's not even being 3-6 again from last year. It's the fact that this is not last year's team. This is a team now that is supposed to be wiser and better. And the fact that they're here right now says what it is. But you got to come out and you're home. On your home field and win this game.
Yeah, I think when they were 3-6 after losing the Carolina homecoming game and then had the bye, 3 games under, which they are now, just a slightly different record at 2-5. I think the one thing you looked at, Lou, when they came back from the bye, they had Philadelphia, who was starting Nick Foles, who was beat up, who was not very good. This is a good San Diego Charger team. They have a major challenge. This is a team that hasn't allowed an offensive touchdown in 11 quarters off their bye. Yes, they had to travel out east, but they came here on Friday. This is a good Charger team, and Phillip Rivers is playing much, much, much better than he has the last couple of years. Eddie Royal's in the lineup for San Diego. They don't have Chad Reinhardt, former Redskin, and starting left guard, so maybe that helps the Redskins' pass rush out a little bit. But the bottom line is I think this has a different feel than last year. I think this 3 games under at 2-5 compared to last year at 3-6 is a much worse feeling in my eyes because of the level of dissension all throughout the organization and because of the opponent that you now have to try and beat.
What was big and what was huge in that game against the Denver Broncos was the lack of the running game. I mean, Alfred Morris wants the ball. He's a beast. He needs to get the ball, and he wasn't getting it. Now, Kyle Shanahan mentioned certain things, and it makes sense on the macro, but on the micro, that team needs to be getting the ball to him more. I mean, this offensive line is built for a running attack, not to be pushed back into passing.
Well, they're averaging 40 passing attempts a game through 7 games. Last year through 7 games, 28. So, I mean, that tells you a lot of things. It's numbers, but as you mentioned, this offensive line is not built to pass protect 40 times a game. So there are going to be some pressures and some rushes and some mistakes and some pressure on Robert Griffin. So that's on Kyle. That's a trend. That's not one game, one quarter, one situation. That's a trend through 7 games. The running game has been very good when they've been committed to it. Last week, they weren't committed long enough to it, and they did not have Griffin as the running threat as he was against Chicago and even against Dallas. But that being said, even if the running game is there, Lou, Robert needs to be more accurate. Again, last year at this time through 7 games, 70% completion percentage. This year through 7 games, only 59. And we know the turnovers, so everything has to improve.
I'll leave you with this, or ask you with this as the throwaway question. The Washington Redskins win this game if?
Well, they got to get off the field on 3rd down on defense and also on 4th down, which sounds weird, but they've allowed 3 4th down conversions that have led to directly or the next play touchdowns in 2 of their losses, at Denver last week and home against Detroit. So that's one. They've been much better on 3rd down, though, so that's a good sign. San Diego's at a 50% clip on 3rd down. And then on offense, again, yes, staying committed to the run, getting some of the read zone option play-action pass is working, which was such a big part of this offense last year. It has not been a big part of the offense so far because teams are defending it better and taking it away. They need to find ways to get Robert Griffin into a rhythm.
Okay, thank you so much. Chris Russell from ESPN 980. We'll take a look at the field. We haven't seen the field all game because we've had all these great guests. And I'll tell you, Monday Morning Redskins Roundup, be sure to catch the Monday Morning Redskins Roundup presented by Verizon tomorrow at 9 a.m. on redskins.com. This live web show will feature highlights, interviews, and analysis. Ask the host, which is Chris Russell, who just left us a question by using hashtag Redskins Talk on Twitter. As we said, this is Alumni Weekend, and we got a good one right here. Now, where are you going? Where are you going? Cornelius Griffin, my man. Welcome back. Welcome back, my brother.
It's great to be back, man. Great to be back. Great atmosphere. Come watch the Redskins play and get a win today.
We talked, I got some offensive guys. I had Jeff Jacoby on, Joe Jacoby on, and Jeff Bostic on. We had Doug Williams on. First defensive guy to come in here. You talk about your unit, the unit now that you look at every game now because you played defense for the Washington Redskins. Talk about, let's start with D'Angelo Hall and what you've seen from him as a performance this year. It's unbelievable.
Well, man, D'Angelo Hall is playing great, man, making great plays, unbelievable plays. He's taking the ball in the air. He's just been a great leader on defense, never giving up on a play.
And then moving up to the big guys up front. You and Phillip Daniels and Ronaldo Wynn, y'all set that standard, and now you got some guys coming in here doing some great things.
Yeah, man, the Redskins, they got to get off blocks a bit better, but they're a well-built unit, they're a young unit, and I think they just keep playing, they're going to get to the quarterback, put pressure on the quarterback, and stop the run.
You look at this defense, and they stay on the field a lot. I mean, Jim Haslett has, taken some dings because this defense has given up a lot of points, but they've also had a lot of playmakers as well.
Right. Anytime you're on defense, you can't come off the field till you stop them. Offense, 3 plays, you're out. Interception, you're out. Defense, you got to stop them or get a turnover or they score. It's a different mentality. But you just got to play aggressively. Be physical at the point of attack, force your will on them, on your opponent, and try to get the ball away.
What's the best part about this Alumni Weekend? This, I think, the second or third time I've seen you here. You're coming back. You got that big R there. And I see the smile because, we were talking with some of the guys. Is the trash talking as monumental as I'm hearing?
Oh, yeah, man. When I first saw Ronaldo, before I said hello, I attacked before he got me. So you gotta get the jump up on the guys. If not, they're going to get you. They won't let up. So I attacked them first. I hadn't let up yet. But, man, it's great to be back, man. See a lot of the old buddies, Ronaldo, Chris Cooler, LeVar Arrington, guys I played with, and some of the older guys here that won some Super Bowls. It's also good to see them and talk to them.
How has the game changed since you left? I mean, you haven't left that long ago, but you see that the NFL now is really putting a premium on hitting, and it looks like it's all circled around the defense and keeping the offensive guys a little bit more upright and clean and, I guess, prolonging their careers. But as a defensive guys, are you upset that there's all these rules now? Because I remember Deacon Jones was so mad before he passed away, because he slapped people in the head, and now you can't do that. And it seems like more and more it's changing.
Well, it's a different game, man. I feel like it changed the rules, one for safety. For offensive players, not so much defensive players, because they still chop blocking that line of scrimmage. And they want to see more points scored. And there being more points scored here. Quarterbacks completing more, getting more completions. And you can't hit a quarterback. You rush. If I got to beat you one-on-one, once I dominate my matchup against a quarterback, I got to think I'm going to hit you. Yes. Football's not a thinking game. You think for the ball to snap, pre-snap, then you read and react and go and make a play. And you're taking all that aggression away. And it's hard to play defense being passive.
Your thoughts on the rest of the season? I mean, they got themselves in a hole again, but they could either be 2-7 in the next 5 days, or they could be 4-5. Obviously, this NFC East is not blowing anybody away. So, your thoughts about the rest of the Washington Redskins season and where they can end up?
Well, I feel like today is the most important game today. Win today, and win again next week, you can start building something. But you got to take care of today. You got to step on the field with the mindset, we'll win this game today. Force your will on the San Diego Chargers, make a big plays. Before 5 plays determine this game, that determine the game, and we get a turnover, take advantage of it. If they get down to the red zone, make them kick a field goal. So don't give up points and take the ball away and score.
Okay, thank you so much. Cornelius Griffin joining us on Game Time Live, presented by Verizon. We have had a great show. Cornelius Griffin has come by. Joe Jacoby, Jeff Bostic, Doug Williams was here. And now they are having the alumni get together because all throughout the game they're going to be honoring the alumni and the Super Bowl XXII team. It's going to be a great day here at FedExField as the Washington Redskins take on the San Diego Chargers on Alumni Weekend here at FedExField. Enjoy the game between the San Diego Chargers and the Washington Redskins. You've been watching Game Time Live, presented by Verizon.